Please stop your machine at this point and turn the tape over.
All right, hey everybody, welcome to Crimes, Killers, Cults, and...
Hey, what the hell was that?
What? In the beginning?
Yeah.
That's something that should have been at the end of part one, because what happens is on all those tapes from Faith Assembly, right as the first side of the tape was ending, some asshole would come on there and he'd be like, "Please stop the machine at this point and turn the tape over." So, so I just figured I'd start it at the, at this one. So,
right on. That's cool.
So, anyway, let's try that again. Hey everybody, yes. Welcome to Crimes, Killers, Cults,
and beer,
and COVID.
What? COVID? How the fuck did you get COVID again?
I kind of feel bad because I was trying to get you to come along to where I got it from. Yeah, the Striper concert last Saturday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
But nobody else who I was...
That's a good thing I didn't get it.
Yeah, but nobody else who I was with didn't get it. Amy didn't get it. I met up with a couple of friends there, too. They didn't get it as far as I know. I met a new friend, friended him on Facebook and everything afterwards. He didn't get it either.
Wow, so you're just the lucky one then.
Depends on how you look at it, I guess.
Right.
So, but you know what? I don't care. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this episode, and I know you've had a rough week. I've had a rough week.
Yep.
And but you got to get this done.
We'll get through it.
Yep. So anyway, that's Todd.
And that's Bill.
Yep. And we're here to do part 2 of the Faith Assembly and Hobart Freeman episode, which is going to be my story about my time in the cult. And I can't believe it. It's just the way that everybody has found part 1. I mean, this episode has blown our most listened to episode out of the water, and and that was our first episode 10 episodes ago.
Wow.
Well, 11 episodes now. I guess this is 11, right?
Yeah. I think this is 11,
yeah.
Yes.
So we did, and that's been steadily gaining and everything, and it's maintained a strong lead over the other episodes. And then all of a sudden we released this, and within 48 hours it had taken the lead. And, it's pretty close to doubling that lead now.
Wow. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I guess people love the Colin episodes. So.
That sounds like it. Yeah. Holy crap. That many downloads that quick?
Yeah.
Damn.
Now, we had a lot of... I had some feedback on this one. I mean, there were people who messaged me personally, but
oh yeah,
yeah, and apparently, there was a couple things that I got wrong, just minor things. Yeah, there were people that were part of Faith Assembly who, and overwhelmingly, it's been positive. That there's the Facebook group that I'm part of that's dedicated toward the children of Faith Assembly. However, I don't think that many people are on that page. So there's something else going on here.
Right.
So, but, it's basically the Glory Barn burned down. And there's the final Faith Assembly building is still standing, although it's like a boat warehouse now.
Oh. That's kind of a strange thing, but okay.
Yeah, fitting.
Well, it's okay. It's like it's a church now, but it used to be a movie theater. And back in the day, like in the 70s, they used to show porn there, and now it's a church.
Oh yeah, it's been a church for a long time. I know what you're talking about.
Weird things happen, I guess.
Yeah, but so and apparently the church wasn't in Warsaw, Indiana either. It was the address, the P.O. box was in Warsaw because the majority of the pastors lived there. The actual churches were, probably about 40 minutes out from Warsaw, so it's not Warsaw.
Oh, okay. So he made all those jokes for nothing.
I don't care; they still apply.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, on that page I was telling you about, there when I posted it, there was this one guy who was like, "Sorry, not going to listen. I'm not going to listen to a righteous man be denigrated."
Huh?
Yeah, and I'm like,
what?
Yeah, like here we go again, Todd. What the fucks?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I messaged him back, and I said, okay, so how can you justify all the deaths? How can you justify all the, all the deaths of preventable illnesses and everything? Children, saying that the babies that died were because of the parents' unconfessed sins and all that stuff. How can you justify that? Crickets. Nothing.
Right. Yeah, well, when you shut them down with facts, they don't got nothing to say.
No. Nope. But that's the only negative that I've got, and that dude didn't even reply to me. I said, in a post prior to that, I said, well, why not listen and then and see if you can refute any of the charges, any of the claims that I'm making. Crickets on that one too.
Right. Because he can't.
Nope. He's got nothing to say, and he knows it. So, sponsor break time. We're going to go ahead and get it out of the way early.
Are you feeling the pinch of the Great Depression? Can't find a place to get a nice stiff drink because the man says you can't? Well, come on down to Tony Marino's Speakeasy. We're all friends here, aren't we? That's right, Marino's Speakeasy, home of New York City's best loaded oyster plate and our award-winning crispy sardine sandwich. Can't afford to get a drink at the Boardwalk Empire? Well, no problem. Here at Marino's Speakeasy, we've come up with an alternative to the alcohol that the man has made illegal. With our unique and secret formulas, we have created a drink that will get you just as drunk, but it isn't liquor or BS, see?
Got a methanol delivery for you.
Not so loud. Just put it over there. Damn. And here at Marino's Speakeasy, we want to give back to the community, see? Our family. To show our appreciation for all of you, we've started up an exciting contest. The Tab for Life contest, see? That's right. One lucky winner will be randomly selected, and that person will have unlimited free drinks for the rest of his or her life. And employees are eligible too. Our latest winner, Michael Malloy, he's our very own bartender. What do you think, Iron Mike?
Thanks, boss. I really love my job and all of my friends, but I sure am dying for a drink.
Coming right up, buddy. So come on down to Tony Marino's Speakeasy, where community is family.
No purchase necessary for the Tab for Life contest. The only qualification is the winner must have a life insurance policy with Tony Marino as the beneficiary. Marino Speakeasy is in no way affiliated with the Murder Trust.
All right, thanks for that. And speaking of a nice stiff drink, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, Bud Light again because I didn't feel, same reason as last time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I'm drinking Bud Light too. Yeah, and
Who? Bud Light and COVID.
Bud Light and COVID. The breakfast of champions.
Right?
Oh, God.
Oh, here we go.
So, Anyway, before we get in too far into this, I just want to say that if you're finding this one and you haven't listened to the first part, you might want to go back and listen to the first part before listening to this one, because it's, if you don't know about the Faith Assembly cult and Hobart Freeman, this second part is probably not going to make a lot of sense to you. So you might want to go.
I mean, it's not like this is there's spoilers or anything, but
no, but there's stuff that I touch on
just to keep you on track,
right? And because I did my best in part one, not to set it up to where I'm not double dipping in part two. Although it's going to happen here and there, just like it happened in part one, but still, But
you did good. You kept it to a minimum.
Yeah. So, but just listen to part one first if you're not familiar with the backstory of the cult. So
yes.
So anyway, we ready to go?
Yep. Let her rip, Tater Chip.
So I was born in 1973. My sister was born in 1976. My mom, my dad, my sister, and me, we were all, Baptists originally. We went to a Baptist church in Rockledge, Florida. And at 3 or 4, and I actually have a memory of this, I was a sheep in a Christmas play, back in 1976.
Oh, wow.
I was a sheep in a Christmas play. That's key. That comes into play later. Yeah, in 1977, I saw Star Wars in the theater with my dad. And shortly after that, I started collecting the action figures, and I had a bunch of them. I had an X-Wing fighter, I had the Land Speeder, I had a TIE fighter. I probably had at least a third of the first edition action figures, and they were a lot. And
you know how much that shit's worth now?
Yeah, even if it's beat up, even if it's not in the box and beat up, those things are still worth money.
I know, dude. You start talking about that, dude, and I was thinking all the Star Wars stuff that I had, dude, I'd be a millionaire right now.
Oh, I know. But so I had many, and not to mention, I had Superman and Batman, action figures and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, back in the day when they were 12 inches tall, instead of the little 6-inch shit you get now or whatever.
Yeah,
3-inch.
Well, I mean, Star Wars started all that, with the little ones.
Yeah, the smaller ones. Yeah. But they made bigger ones too. I have a bunch of those still. I still have Boba Fett and Chewbacca.
Nice.
I may have a Darth Vader still too. I'm not sure.
Nice. I've got a Grogu sitting on my shelf in here, and I've got an R2-D2.
I've got a Grogu on my T-shirt,
and I have a Plo Koon bobblehead, and that's
nice. Yeah,
that's in the box and it's never been opened.
Yeah, dude, I was at the Dollar General or whatever the other day, and they had a bunch of little Star Wars things, and I bought 3 of them. They're not bobbleheads, but you push down on their head and their faces change.
Oh, these are the what are they? The vinyl bobblehead. They're the big ones that where there's a bobblehead for anything you can possibly imagine.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I can't think of the name right now, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's sitting here.
But the things that I got aren't those, so they're probably going to be worth nothing. But hey, whatever. Yeah. I liked them, so I bought them.
Right. Although I did, the Grogu that I have on my shelf in front of me, it says the child on it. So you got to figure that they're not going to be making those much longer. So I might have something there in about 50 years or so.
We could.
So, anyway, before Christmas that year, we started going to this church in somebody's house. And then shortly after, Christmas was banned in our household. And
oh, wow.
I honestly don't remember having a Christmas as a child. It's at age 4, that would have been the first one that I would have remembered,
Yeah.
So, Christmas was banned. So were my Star Wars figures. They got all thrown in the trash.
Damn.
We threw our we hauled our TV out to the curb. Star Wars was a sin, and I loved that stuff. I loved the movie. I loved, I loved my action figures, and
I just don't think Star Wars could be a sin. Well, okay, the sequel trilogy's a sin for sure, but for different reasons.
Right. But so Halloween was a sin, of course. I mean that doesn't even need to be mentioned. But Thanksgiving, Independence Day, Veterans Day, Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, all sins. And whenever I was
what the hell, man?
yeah, with Valentine's Day, that's promoting lust, which is a sin. It's like, how are we supposed to procreate without lust?
You say so.
How are we supposed to?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, so during Memorial Day, you're glorifying murderers and all that stuff. Yeah, and same thing with Veterans Day, and that's the cult saying it. That's not me, because I am 100% pro-troops. I even tried to join the military at one point, but my hearing was too badly damaged. They just didn't want you. They didn't want you having any fun at all, basically.
Yeah.
So, whenever they had like Halloween parties or Christmas parties and everything at the school, I would have to sit in a school library, for those holiday events because my mom insisted. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And that was all through elementary school, and when I started getting into like 5th, 6th grade and stuff, and then into middle school, I didn't give a shit. And they would come up to me, "Do you want to go to the library?" "No, I don't."
Right.
And that's something we're going to get to here shortly about how I started questioning this stuff when I was young. So, but then, now at this point we're still in somebody's house, and I honestly don't remember where that house was. I think it was somewhere off of River Road. So you know how big those yards are, and there's you can fit a lot of the cars in those driveways and in the yards.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But they had, when the worship service was there were people with guitars playing, and I was just like blown away. I loved it. I decided that I wanted to learn how to play. I mean, it's so much different than listening to an old woman on an organ grinder who can't keep a beat.
Yeah, right.
And that's one thing about those churches. It's usually an old lady or an old man that's playing the organ and everything, and that's the only music there is, and they're just like, and they just can't keep a beat.
Right.
But hey, more power to them. But so I started pestering my parents. I was just like, God, I want to learn how to play guitar. I want to learn how to play guitar. I want to learn how to play guitar. So they finally broke down and they bought me a cheap acoustic guitar. And they got me lessons from, one of those said church musicians that were there. And they taught me the chords, and I basically took it from there.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did too.
So shortly thereafter, I was playing guitar in the church. Now I wasn't up on stage.
Yeah.
But I was there playing along with all the songs.
Right on.
So, we were love bombed for a couple years. We were welcome in. We were loved on. We were invited for events that exclusive to the church.
Uh-huh.
We were encouraged to invite friends and family, but for some reason nobody ever wanted to come with us. Gee. So apparently that church already had a reputation, and that's just me looking back on it now.
Yeah.
Because I can remember my dad, and we're going to get to my dad, but my dad telling me that they were encouraging us to invite friends and family while they were like love bombing us. And love bombing is, basically what a narcissist does to reel you in. And cults do it too. Cult leaders do it too. They make you feel, and you know what? Rent-to-own companies do it too. when you're in, I used to work for Rent-A-Center and Aaron's. When you're with a customer and everything, when you're trying to get them to sign that contract and everything, you're hey, we love you, blah 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 blah, and then as soon as they walk out that door, the first day that the first day that the payment comes due, you're calling them at 8:00 in the morning. You got to come in and make your payment today, and then it's just it's just brutal. Yeah, so I guess you could say that the rent-to-own industry is a cult as well.
Yeah, I guess so. I never really thought about it like that, but
I worked for it for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, the only thing I rent to own is like plugins and software.
Yeah, but you're gonna go in there and you're gonna pay like a shitload more if you actually, we could do a whole episode on the rent-to-own industry if you want, because I said I've worked for Rent-A-Center and Aaron's. I also worked for Rentway.
I never heard of that one.
Well, they were around too. So I've worked for 3 different ones. I've got a pretty that might be a good episode to do in the future.
And like a little lighthearted, fun one, maybe.
Yeah. So, when I was in 2nd grade, the love bombing stopped.
Oh.
Now, granted, I was like preschool age when we started going there, so it took several years. So, a sermon was preached about marriage, and the only marriage that was acceptable by God was the first marriage. Divorce was unacceptable, and second marriages were a sin.
Oh.
And children born into second marriages were born into sin. Like me and my sister.
Yeah.
Because both of my parents had been married before, and they both had children, with their first marriages.
Uh-huh.
So, and I really do think that they did that sermon just for us. I wholeheartedly believe that, because according to my mom and my dad, we were the only ones who did who had been, who were part of a, like a second marriage family.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it does kind of sound like they were directing that towards y'all.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So, my mom divorced my dad.
Wow.
and then she began praying for her first husband to find her and reconnect. Her first husband was a college fling.
Oh boy.
I have a half brother who they had put up for adoption. They got married. They got married and then divorced. Like right after the baby was put up for adoption.
Oh.
And my dad had a kid from his first marriage too. My older brother, half brother, which I have met him, but
that's cool.
Anyway, so it's just our family was broken up, and it destroyed me as a kid.
Oh, I'm sure.
But my mom and the church were telling me that I had to repent for a spirit of self-pity.
No, there's that spirit of thing again.
Yep.
Wow.
And my dad fucking hated her for it. Hated her and the church.
Oh, I'm sure.
But he still attended the services to be around me and my sister.
Well, that's good.
So,
I mean, good for him.
yeah. So, but we'll get into that
Yeah.
a little while longer. My dad absolutely, he hated it. I mean, our family was broken up, because of a cult. But you know what? The thing about it is, shortly after my dad was basically, for all intents and purposes, out of the picture, the isolation began.
Oh.
And my grandmother was angry at my mom for breaking up the family. That her mother, my mom's mother. And my grandfather, now, we could do a whole episode on him. Serious. I'm not even kidding. That man has seen more history than Forrest Gump.
Wow.
He was there when they tested the first atomic bomb.
Really?
He worked. Yeah, he was there. He was one of the people on site when they did it, and he was really, he was obviously really young when it happened. But he worked with the Apollo program. He worked with the space shuttle program.
Hey, my dad did too.
And we could do an entire episode on my grandfather. I mean, he's a historical gem. I mean, but they relocated to California, to Air Force Base, and I think Lompoc, California, where they were setting up a launch site there, and that launch site is now used for SpaceX and stuff like that now. But the church and my mom got convinced that, and then she in turn got convinced me and my sister that California was going to break off and sink.
Oh.
So it's like we were all like panicked over, and we go to these prayer meetings and everything. Oh, please, let them find their way back before California falls off the ocean, and blah blah blah. They didn't speak for a while, but it was the whole, California is going to fall off thing.
Right.
That got my mom. I mean, that's been a conspiracy theory for a long time, and there's basis for it, right, because of the fault line and everything. But it's not just going to fall off. It's not going to fall off and sink.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there could be a whole bunch of, underneath California, it goes all the way down to wherever it goes and everything. It's still connected.
Yeah, it's not just, I mean, that's whatever. It's crazy, but.
Yeah. But my grandparents and my mom didn't speak for a while. And I had a friend. Well, I still have a friend. He's my age. I still know him. You know him too. His mom and him were there at about the same time at the Baptist church. He was also a sheep in that play that I mentioned.
Oh, yeah?
At the Baptist church, yeah. And we joined at the same time. It might have actually been his mom that brought us, that talked my mom into going there. I don't know that. I'm not gonna say that, but they started going, and his dad pulled him out of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but he remembers vaguely. But I've literally known that guy longer than I've known anybody, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. And his mom left shortly after. Good on her.
Yeah.
You do know who I'm talking about, right?
Thunder Midget?
No. There's one person that I've known longer than Thunder Midget. And I don't want to name drop, but let's just say he likes to slap like on the Ramones.
Okay.
You got it?
I do now, yeah.
Okay. So faith healing. I was in kindergarten, and I broke my ankle, and they laid hands on and prayed, speaking in tongues. Never took me to the doctor. Now I have a bad ankle, no cartilage, bone on bone, and I limp.
Ugh.
And I also have a scar on my head, on the side of my head, which I never knew was there because I was growing my hair long and all that stuff. But then when I cut my long hair off, the barber's like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "What?" He grabbed the mirror. He shows me this huge scar that's like 2 inches long and probably about 1/4 of an inch across.
Oh wow!
And it raised up on my head. It raised up like about 1/8 of an inch above the skin on my head. It's a really big scar.
Holy crap!
I asked my mom and dad, if they had any idea. My dad didn't remember. My mom said that she didn't remember. But when I asked my dad about it, he was in bad shape. He would have told me if he actually did remember.
Uh-huh.
My mom, no telling. So, I think when I was in like 3rd or 4th grade, maybe 5th, I was bitten in my armpit by a brown recluse.
Ooh, damn.
Now, we mentioned gangrene when we were talking about hef. Yeah, I've had gangrene too.
Damn.
They didn't take me to the doctor. There was a woman there in the church who had quit a job as a nurse, but she came over and she looked at my armpit. Because at that point it had grown up to be about the size of a softball. It had turned like a putrid purple color and everything, and it just smelled disgusting.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, that's gangrenous. So of course, laying hands on it. Blah, 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 blah. Never took me to the doctor. So they laid hands and they prayed and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then all of a sudden, it was spreading. It was spreading farther and everything. And all of a sudden, my immune system nipped it in the bud, and it started draining one night. And I still have the scars in my armpit from that. There's 4 of them.
Wow.
And they're both about the size of like your, like a fingernail.
Uh-huh.
And they're there. They are absolutely there. The scars from where it drained. And my mom's just like, okay, well, see, God healed you. Like, no, God didn't heal me.
Ugh.
My immune system took care of it, and I am fucking lucky to have my arm.
Yeah, you are. Holy crap, dude.
I'm actually, I could have even died from that.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. And then let's not even forget about that woman who we talked about in part 1, with the special needs kid. Never took him to the doctor. I run into the two of them, years later when he's a grown man, and he still can't talk. It's just like she never took him to the doctor. Just my sister, she broke her kneecap on like a friend of hers' boat, and her parents knew the story. My sister's friends' parents knew the story, so they took her to the doctor to get it fixed, and they said that she was their daughter in order to get it fixed.
Wow. Just wow, dude. Holy crap.
Yeah, they said that I don't remember their names or whatever, but they were like, okay, well, this is my daughter, and they used their daughter's name.
Uh-huh.
And so obviously my sister's friend wasn't there. But so they got it wrapped up and everything. It was just a broken kneecap, so it didn't require a cast or anything, but they put a brace on it and wrapped it and everything. And when my sister went home, she told what happened, and my mom was just like kind of, okay. just kind of accepted it because she knew that it was, because my sister was, like limping and everything. It's just like, okay, if you got a broken ankle, it's kind of easier to walk on that than it is if you got a broken kneecap.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a bad knee and I also have a bad ankle, but you know what? It, the bad knee hurts worse.
Oh, yeah.
So luckily she doesn't have knee problems now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So. There's faith in God for everything. There are no seatbelts, no doctors, no contracts, mortgage, car loans, and everything. Everything that we covered in part 1.
Right.
And then, but because of the fact that all of that stuff about mortgage, car loan, credit cards, and everything, many people were living in cheap shitholes and driving shitty-ass cars.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned in part 1, college was a sin. And they kept you dependent and everything. The Butterfly Club. The Butterfly Club was a group of church ladies that, set up this thing, and they had sleepovers and brunches and etc. at various people's house. Something went on because, and the wife of the first pastor, she's the one that started it. But something went on. I don't know what went on, but something went on because the Butterfly Club's wings were clipped. And the pastor and his family members were kicked out as a result. Enter the second pastor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So to this day, I don't know what the hell happened, and I honestly don't want to.
Yeah, right. I don't even want to.
So.
I don't even want to think about it.
No, me either.
Because, never mind. Moving on.
Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
Before Geraldo got a hold of it, the Faith Assembly was at it long before they were. Everything was evil. Everything was the devil. Yeah, metalhead with long hair with an Iron Maiden T-shirt, like I mentioned in part 1. The blood of Jesus. Oh, we gotta pray to cleanse our soul because we saw it, and I bring that up so much because it happened. It happened to me. Another time, this kid walked up to me when my mom was picking me up to school, and he's talking to me about Star Wars. My mom just looked at the kid and said, "That's occult. That's a sin." The kid was confused. And then my mom rebukes him in the name of Jesus, and then prayers over me for having to listen to that.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Yeah. But, like I said, everything was a sin. My mom's doll baby stuff that we talked about in first, the checkerboard shoes, they were punk, so therefore that was a sin. Whatever they decided was a sin.
Right.
Now we move on to the testimonies. Or as some survivors call it, the testabalonies.
Do they really call it that?
On that Facebook page that I mentioned, yes, they call it that now.
That's cool.
The testabaloni.
That's fucking cool.
But it was the break between worship before prayer and then the eventual sermon. Mm-hmm. Now, you kind of thought that I was just randomly coming up with something in part 1 about okay, well, why just keep it at doctors? Why not mechanics?
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
And I purposely, I left this part out. Yeah, because of the fact that this is one of the things that started making me question was the testimony bullshit and everything. Now, some of them, sure, I mean, yeah, things could have happened. I mean, but then again, also, okay, I'd like to thank God because I got a raise at my job. That had nothing to do with your performance. It was God's will. So, but still, There was one woman, and this is another thing that somebody reached out to me about, saying that like, okay, you guys were joking about it. That actually happened, with the testimonies and stuff like that. And I messaged him back. I said, I know, it's coming to part 2 for a reason.
Yep.
But no, in the church that I was in, same woman that had the special needs child that I mentioned, she gets up there and she just said, I went to go start my car up, earlier in the week, and it wouldn't start. And I commanded it in the name of Jesus to start. And all of a sudden it started. And then God told me to drive it right to the mechanic. So I drove it right to the mechanic. I drove it there, and when the mechanic opened the hood, he just looked there, like, stunned. The battery had been stolen.
What?
Yeah, so I was like 9 or 10 at that point. And at that point I already knew how to change the oil on a car. I already knew how to change a battery.
Yeah.
I knew how to change tires and stuff like that. I had minimal knowledge, basic knowledge of car upkeep.
Yeah.
And of course, when she gets done, the battery was gone. And everybody's just like, hallelujah! It's just massive, loud applause and everything. Hallelujah! It's just like, and I'm sitting there, 10-year-old me is just sitting there going, what the
fuck?
Well, yeah, well, of course I didn't say that because I didn't start cussing at that point.
Yeah. But still, dude, like, seriously? You want us to believe that the car started with no battery in it?
Without a battery in it.
That's fucking bullshit.
It is bullshit. And I even asked my mom about it, and I got freaking, just like, oh man, you wouldn't believe the freaking ass reaming and beating that I took over that, for daring to, to question what was being said. Another time, and look, if people are listening to this who know me and my mom and all that stuff, I apologize for, this episode not making my mom out in a very positive light, but I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. This shit happened, and I'm telling it the way that it is, the way that it did happen.
Right. As you should.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that at the end. I mean, there's a silver lining and everything. My mom and I reconciled, but you have to realize that I cannot pull punches here.
Absolutely not.
And I'll get to that. I'll get to that later.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
So, another time, me and my mom were at it. I think I was in 6th grade at the time. Probably wasn't too long after, the whole thing about the car running without a battery.
Right.
We got into something, and my mom, just like we got into a screaming match and everything, and then my mom we were in a car, and she was driving and I was sitting in the front seat, and she just all of a sudden while we were driving just like unleashes on my fucking left shoulder, like punching the hell out of me.
Yeah. Oh shit.
And then I'm like, and then she asked me, "Do you want me to ask God to turn you over to the devil?"
Yes, please.
And I'm like, sure, why not? You already have. You've already done it. Might as well actually do it officially. But, it's just like, at that point, I just didn't fucking care anymore.
I don't blame you.
So you know what I did? She apologized right then for hitting me. But you know what I did? A bruise was starting to form. So I made that bruise form a lot faster. And when it was starting to form, she put her hands on it, and it's just like, okay, I claim the healing for this mark on him. Not forgiveness for punching the fuck out of me. But then So what I did once we got home, you know how you can take a freshly sharpened pencil, you know, that still has the graphite flakes on it, and rub it on your skin?
Oh, yeah.
I basically did that, and I made a huge fucking bruise.
Oh, you sneaky little bastard.
So I walked out after about being an hour, you know, in my room. I walked out and I said, Mom, look at this. Oh my God, we gotta lay hands on you. So I went back into my bedroom, rubbed it down, blotted it a little bit. And after about another hour, I walked out. It's starting to dissipate. Oh, good. So I walked back an hour later, wipe it down a little bit more. Starting to dissipate some more, Mom. Oh, praise God. So then I finally, after about 2 more times of doing that, I finally wiped it off completely. And there was still the bruise there. I could feel it. It just hadn't started to show yet, you know? But, oh, hallelujah. So the next time at church, she's just like, oh, he had a bruise form on his arm somehow. And we prayed on it, and we just sat there and watched it, like fade and go away. And of course, everybody in the congregation was, hallelujah!
Right. Oh, gee, fuck.
I never told my mom about what I had done.
Huh.
But at the same time, that was just even more confirmation about the fact that this is bullshit.
Right? Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I never told my mom. I told my dad, and he laughed his ass off. So, oh boy.
Yeah, wow.
So, prayer, spoken by the congregation members, like during prayer meetings. Example, it's like, and this is just random. This is just something I came up with. I'd like to say a prayer for my grandmother. Maybe she get over Parkinson's. Well, was it Parkinson's a doctor diagnosed disease?
Sinner.
But they would launch it, and then may she find God as well. You know, it's just, that's how the prayer meetings went and everything.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, Parkinson's, it's doctor diagnosed and everything, but nobody really said anything about, so like, okay, mental health issues, they were considered being possessed by the devil. But what about Parkinson's, where you can't control yourself? Or what about Alzheimer's, where you can't, where you don't know what the hell's going on around you?
Yeah.
It's just like, and I'm sure that people that are listening to this, I'm pretty sure that they'll let us know if they have anything that, like any stories about, specifically Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and how Faith Assembly handled it.
Yeah, right.
So I really hope that they do.
Yeah.
I really hope that they do, because like quite a few people reached out to me. They didn't do it on our social, which I wish they would.
Yeah, but we don't have this shit for nothing.
Yeah, but they reached out to me personally, and you know what? I'm grateful for that.
Right on. Yeah, that's cool.
100%. So. Vape and COVID hit. And I got to... Oh, shit. I didn't have an empty beer. Well, that's all right. I got another one. So, the seminars. You like how I've like broken this up into different topics?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only way I could have done it.
It's easy to keep track of.
That's the only way I could have done it. Yep. So the seminars. Yeah, the pastors from Indiana, they were coming down to give like seminars in our like in our area and everything. And of course we all had to go and everything. And like some of the pastors, like I know Bruce Kinsey came to our church specifically, but you know, and a couple others did as well. Steve Hill, when he came down, he did it. He rented out like the grand ballroom of a big time hotel in Kissimmee.
Oh, did he have to sign a contract?
And it was packed. It was packed. I'm like, you know, I can remember even then. I was like, where the hell did all these people come from?
Right.
You know, and I found out that there was another satellite out over in St. Pete, but still, packing out that huge freaking grand ballroom and everything, they had to have been bringing a lot of people with them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did.
So they would do things and everything, and then afterwards, and after Steve Hill would do it and everything, they would do like, you know, foot washing.
Foot washing?
You know, prayer meetings and stuff like that. Foot washing. You wash somebody else's feet, and somebody else washes your feet. Well, you know what? I am proud to say that to humble yourself, you know, because Jesus washed his disciples' feet in order to humble himself, or you know, before God and all that stuff. It's ridiculous. But I have to say, yeah, I can honestly say that nobody washed my feet, and I didn't wash anybody else's feet.
Good for you.
Unless I was in the bathtub with a naked female. As an adult. As an adult. Then I washed the feet.
Yeah, but that's for different reasons.
Right. Now, I just had to throw that in there because I even then I found it fucking gross, you know?
Oh, yeah. That's just, I don't get that at all, but anyway.
I don't either, and I still don't. I mean, I get that Jesus did wash his disciples' feet to humble himself before them and therefore before God. I get that. But is that something that we really need to touch on? What if you got to wash somebody's feet that had like freaking, you know, like
toe jam
or athlete's foot or something like that? Ew.
Yeah, right.
So Steve Hill, he comes up again, yeah, and just going to recap briefly. Basically, any music that wasn't his music or church music was a sin to listen to.
Right.
So, and like I said, if you're listening to this one, you should, and you haven't heard part 1 and you're not familiar with it, you should go listen to part 1.
And then come back.
First. Right. Because I ain't going through the whole thing. So, I had started experimenting with guitar playing. And I started adding like fills to the songs that I was playing in church, you know, along with guitars. I started adding fills to it because, you know, and I was swatted down for that because fills were a sin.
What? Come on, man.
In reality, I was becoming a better guitar player than these church guitarists.
Oh, so yeah, so you're a sinner because you can't be better than me.
But yeah, they couldn't have a kid outshining them. Pride, that's a sin,
right? Well, you know, for everybody else.
Yeah,
not for them. You know, they're apparently. I know. I said this in the last episode. I'm gonna say it again, dude. This still sounds a whole lot like fucking Animal Farm.
Oh yeah, absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. Yeah, there was definitely a ruling class. There was definitely a hierarchy there of the haves and have-nots. And there was definitely you know, it's just like, okay, well, this person is above you just because.
Yep.
You know, I had my fucking family broken up. You know? And so that brings me to rebellion. I started thinking for myself after a lot of things, but mainly after the Steve Hill thing about music, like we talked about in part 1.
Yes.
But I had friends, and, you know, I mentioned that I had seen the original Star Wars in the theater. But I also saw Star Wars, you know, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Indiana Jones, Ghostbusters, and all that stuff in theaters. You know, because I had some friends who I wasn't supposed to be hanging out with who, you know, their parents knew that I was a child of a cult, and they would just take me to see these movies. So, yeah, I got to see all those movies in the theater.
Well, that's cool.
But as a musician, you know, at that point, if you start putting fills into songs on your own, you know, you're a musician at that point. You know, so you're not just somebody who can play the chords. You're a musician at that point because you're putting your own spin on the thing.
Absolutely.
So as a musician who was shut down for trying to get better at guitar, I started thinking, I could do a freaking entire episode of things that I did behind my mom's back, but I won't.
Yeah, right.
But I started my rebellion by listening to country music, actually.
Yeehaw.
Because they're, you know, their songs, the songs they did were like country and folk. You know, I mean, with, you know, like, you know, maybe like some like golden oldie like rock and everything, like Hey Jude by the Beatles.
Right.
Yeah, but also a sin.
Of course.
Even though I'm pretty sure that they had a song that took Hey Jude's music and they just put different lyrics on top of it. And I'm pretty sure they did.
Of course they did.
So, at that point, my mom started making me listen to the Steve Hill's sermons about music. You know, and we covered that in part 1.
Yep.
You know, and there are a couple of the church songs that had minor chords, and I freaking loved them. I loved them a hell of a lot more than the you know, just like the major chord happy, you know, bink a bink a bink 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 bink. You know, I loved those songs, and at that point, a metal musician was born.
Right.
Shortly after, you know, Heb was dead at this point. This is in 1985. A friend introduced me to Stryper's Soldiers Under Command album. And I was absolutely hooked.
I think I have that one.
I started, one of their great ones. And I started learning that stuff on guitar, and my mom hated it because, you know, like we talked about in part 1, Christian rock is bad and good, but Christian metal, that's worse than Iron Maiden.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Iron Maiden was just the devil. God.
Right.
If people knew anything about Iron Maiden, they'd know that. God, Iron Maiden. You could teach an entire history class based off of the songs of Iron Maiden.
Yeah, right.
I mean, yeah, it's just how are they satanic? It's just like, okay, scary imagery. Yeah, they got scary imagery and everything, but they're nothing but they're not satanic.
No, not at all.
They don't worship the devil. I mean, they're not from fucking Norway.
Oh, that's fucking good.
So,
that's so good.
I moved in with my dad at 15 years old, and my first band, ironically enough, was a Christian band with, you know, you know, I'm not going to name drop anybody.
Yeah, I know who.
But yeah, but I wound up going to their church and everything, and I actually liked it. And it was around that time when I met my totally freaking awesome co-host here, Todd.
Yes. Well, I don't know about the totally awesome part, but co-host.
No, you're freaking awesome. I love you to death.
Yeah,
brother.
I love you, bro. I'm also a master of self-deprecation, so I don't have an ego. I mean, I put myself down so nobody else has to.
Well, I wouldn't.
Oh, so. No.
But so anyway, the fall. Hef died in 1984, and the church and everybody in it was a little crying, and the church fell apart in 1986, and then more crying and all that stuff. I mean, they had been when Hef died, the people in my church had been like praying for Hef to come down and do a seminar.
Uh-huh.
But like I said in part 1, the dude was an antisocial. He didn't go do that crap. He left that up to his underlings.
Right.
So that was a prayer unanswered. So the church fell apart officially in 1986. My mom, searching for a church like it, she never found it. She dragged me to several churches and everything that were just ridiculous. And I finally told her, I was like, no fucking more. And it was at that point when I moved in with my dad.
Uh-huh.
So as I got older, it's like after I had moved in with my dad, I started to, my dad told me everything that happened about how my mom had divorced him for no frickin' reason and all that stuff. And I started to resent my mom.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Like even more. Yeah. Because I do remember, because this shit's happened between 2nd and 3rd grade, so I remember all of that. My sister does not. Lucky her. But, many fights. I had many fights with my mom over it. The cult broke up our family, and she was okay with it. She was a willing participant. And, my dad, he was a great dad, but he never forgave my mom for that.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yep.
I mean,
so later on, my mom met and married a non-denominational pastor. He deprogrammed her.
Really?
And yeah, and I actually played guitar at their wedding.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was 20, and actually, my stepfather, he asked me to do it. I had to play next to an organ grinder who couldn't keep a beat.
That's always fun.
That was fun, but yeah, he deprogrammed her, and he told me what I already knew, that Faith Assembly was a cult and that Hef was a cult leader. But later on, he became a mediator between my mom and me.
Uh-huh.
My mom and I reconciled, and for a time before we reconciled, she actually had my oldest daughter, and that's another story for another time, maybe.
Yeah.
But my mom actually had my oldest daughter for a while, and I was okay with her being there. When she died in 2012, we had been on good speaking terms for about 4 years. It was good and bad prior to that, but the last years were good. I always loved her, but I was angry with her.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but after we reconciled, thanks to my stepdad, it was like all was well.
Uh-huh.
So, my stepdad is still alive. My dad died in 2006, but my stepdad is still alive and well, and I love him like a father.
Cool.
In fact, I called him and told him that we were doing this episode. And I said that there might be things that don't paint her in a good light, because I know how much you love her, but I can't sugarcoat anything. He's like, I know you can't, and I don't expect you to.
That's cool. I mean, that's cool that he gets it.
Yeah. So, and he also told me something that I didn't know.
Oh yeah.
He said that one of the biggest regrets that my mom had about being in the cult was the fact that it pushed me and my sister away from God. And I told him, I'm like, it didn't push me away from God. It just made me rethink everything. I still believe in God.
Yeah.
You know, but it just made me think of, you know, just made me like look at churches completely differently. And maybe I am like finding a reason to not go with every church. You know, I've gone to plenty of churches and everything since all this, just trying to find a place. You know, because I do believe in God, and it's just like but I always find a reason to be like, okay, no. And it's like there was this one church where it just like screamed out cult to me. I hauled ass.
Good for you.
But it's just like, I don't know. So, aftermath. I was, as a teenager and everything, I was shy, I was awkward, I was scared of everything. Think back to when you first met me.
Dude, that was a long time ago.
I know it was, but can you remember me just like being like, just like really awkward and all that stuff and everything? I mean, not everybody has the memory that I do, but
yeah. I mean, yeah, you did seem a little, I would say awkward, but not like, not in a bad way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was trying to piece together myself.
Yeah, you were trying
to like when I met
figure out
you,
who you were. Fuck.
Right. Yeah, but the thing is, I let people walk all over me and everything, and I was like obsessed with I had to have a girlfriend. I didn't feel complete without a girlfriend, and I let people walk all over me. I was attracted, and I wound up attracting the most toxic of women.
Yeah.
But the thing is what Faith Assembly did, I was taught to rebuke and question everything in the world, especially ourselves. Doubt was a sin, but they relied on doubt to keep you shackled and dependent on them.
Oh yeah, of course.
And ultimately, myself and others, and I'm not just talking about like others in my church. I'm talking about others that were in like other satellites and Hef's church itself and everything which Steve Hill took over as the main guy after Hef died. But all of us kids and everything, it's like, okay, well, this is a sin, this is a sin, this is a sin. And they explained why. They would explain why everything was a sin in their own fucked up way. But you know what?
Yeah, what's that?
There were a handful of us that applied that same bit of thinking to the church itself. I was one of them. Ivana was one of them. In fact, I gotta give credit where credit is due. Ivana, Sophia, which we mentioned in part 1 when we were on that other podcast as guests and everything. She's the one that said that. And when she said that, I was just like, holy shit, I never thought about it that way, but you know what? You're fucking right.
Exactly.
And so it's like doubt was a sin, but they relied on everything to keep you shackled. But, I always felt like an outcast and everything. And honestly, I had played in bands and everything. It's like the first Christian band that I was in. We were together for 3 years playing in churches and all that stuff. And it wasn't until I became a lead singer in the first band that you and I were in together, Madstone, to where I really freaking unleashed and everything. I unleashed it and everything, and you know, it was at that point that my life became my own. You know, it was at that point when I became the outgoing, loudmouth, bullheaded, confident, determined person that I am now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and looking back on things, it's like I didn't go to therapy. I probably should have, but I didn't. But looking back on things, just like I look back on things that I did when I was like in my teens and everything, and I just like, that was stupid. Don't do that again. You know, and that was basically how I, gave therapy to myself.
Yeah, well, music is therapy.
Yeah, you do what.
Oh shit! I just thought of something.
What's that?
Well, I mean, I said earlier during the little break we took that maybe it was you got COVID because it was God's will to stop you from doing this episode. But you got no. COVID at the Stryper concert, which Stryper is a Christian metal band. if that's so not a hit and a half for your ass, I don't know what is.
Maybe it was Hef's ghost.
Yeah, could have been that too. I'm sorry, that just came to my head. I just like it just popped in there. I was like, well, I gotta say it now.
So, I mean, yeah, the aftermath. I mean, it was, like after Madstone broke up, I fucking went crazy. I mean, alcohol and nicotine is like pretty much been my only vices and everything. And I went through a stage with pills for about a year when I was 20 and 21. In 2000, my marriage to my first wife, not my first wife's daughter's mother either, fizzled after about a year. She had been living a double life, and you were there for that during that crash down.
Yeah, I remember that.
So shortly after that, I moved to Tennessee, and I hauled ass. I went crazy. Yeah, I just went absolutely nuts. And but yeah, I calmed down. So happy ending. Not for the cult, but happy ending as well. I may not have discovered my love and ability to play and write heavy metal music had it not been for Faith Assembly and with those minor chord songs that they had as part of their worship song. So take that, Steve Hill.
Stuff that up your ass and
you,
fucking
Hef.
smoke it, you motherfucker.
Yeah. And fuck you, Hef, for you're controlling bullshit that destroyed my family for your personal game. I never fucking met the guy, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, no shit.
Although I'd like to meet him now.
Where's he buried, dude? Let's take a road trip and piss on his grave.
Hey, we can do that.
Just saying. If anybody else wants to join, we'll put it together. We'll make a whole trip, and dude, we'll get as many people to go, and we'll all just stand there and piss on his fucking grave.
We'll make an episode out of it. No, you can't tell me. It's just like, it's just like during the early part that Hef was there. When he was like making a name for himself and everything. I've talked to like several people, including my own stepfather, that said, well, early on, my stepdaughter was a pastor, or my stepfather was a pastor, right. and he's just like, well, early on he did this sermon on Deuteronomy and everything, and I had another person call me that I was talking to. Yeah, because I was driving, and I just wrote "call me," and I put my number in because I was driving my semi. But and he called me, and he's a pastor. Now, he wasn't somebody that that was part of Faith Assembly, but he followed it. Yeah, he and he also was now. Don't get me wrong. This guy was not like making excuses for Hef, but he said the same thing that my stepfather did about early on. And in my research, it seemed like Hef was a freaking hustler. And, think about back to the early days in part 1 that we were talking about.
Uh-huh.
I mean, didn't it seem like this guy was a hustler?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It didn't. Yeah, so it's like, okay, when he was like putting together, his stuff and everything, where he did stuff that like actual, like legit ministers, look back on it, it's just like, okay, this is good stuff. He was just doing what he had to do because he was a salesman and he was a hustler.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like he was just making a name for himself. Shortly after that, he got denounced by Kenneth Copeland. If you get denounced by Kenneth Copeland, there's something fucking wrong.
Exactly, because that dude is insane.
Yeah, so if Kenneth Copeland thinks you're crazy...
Yeah, you fucked up.
Yeah. So it's just like, I don't care. And I told my stepdad this, and I told that pastor that I talked to about this as well. I was just like, look, that is not... What I got out of my research was this guy was just doing what he had to do. I think he totally had... like after he had his experience with the heart conditions that he miraculously survived,
right,
and all that stuff, I think that he got a God complex after that, and he did what he had to do to become a preacher and all that stuff, and he had to play it cool at first.
Yeah.
Now this guy was a shyster all along.
Oh yeah, he had it all. He knew what he was doing. He had it all planned.
Yeah. And the only positive thing that I can say about him was that he practiced what he preached.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can say about it. And he got what he deserved in the end.
Yep. But you know what, though? I mean, we talked about it in the last episode. But, of course, he dies by not getting medical attention, but it's God called him home. It's not that he had unconfessed sins or whatever like everybody else.
Right. Yeah, it's hypocrisy.
Yeah. Rules for thee and not for me.
Yep. So, anyway, we're gonna wrap this up now. But before we do, I mentioned before about doubt and all that stuff, about doubt like shackling you and everything. And I didn't realize this, but I may have subconsciously written a song about Faith Assembly.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my song Intruder. I wrote that song about doubt and how it can invade you and take you over and like imprison you and everything and make, you will question every choice you make as I assume control. With every ounce of energy, you go deeper into your role. But by the time you realize it's you that I now own, it's far too late to abandon me. Your mind is now my throne.
Ooh, nice.
I wrote that song about doubt being a demon that like taking you over, but I wrote it from the doubt demon's point of view.
Yeah.
And God, that song is good. And instead of the normal, it's like the normal cult outro that we put, that we established on the first part of this, we're going to play that song as its entirety, at the end of this episode.
Cool. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, so it just needs to be there. I don't know. Did I really write a song about Faith Assembly subconsciously and everything and what they did? Because they absolutely weaponized doubt. Right. They made you think it was a sin to have doubt, but they used it against you anyway.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you may have, bro.
Might have, but still, it's an awesome song. And
Either way,
I think
yeah.
everybody's going to like it. It's a good song. So, anyway, let's wrap it up. Your band?
My band. Retroactive Days. We're on Facebook. You can find us there. It's Retroactive Days, D-A-Z-E, which I haven't been saying, but it is D-A-Z-E. We play like 80s retro music, Billy Idol. I can't even think of the bands. Prince. Stuff like that. If you look us up on Facebook, you'll find our schedule. And if you're ever in the Brevard County, Florida area, check, and you want to come see us, check the schedule, see if we're playing anywhere, where near where you are, and come out and see us. Say hi. Say you listen to Crimes, Killers, Cults, and Beer, and I'll buy you a beer, and we'll sit and chat.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. And my original music is on Bill Selby on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeart, everything like that. It's all there, and you'll find everything. You'll find the Intruder. It's there. But we're gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna play that song for you right now as we wrap it up. So until next time, later.
Cheers, everybody.
is down in